We'll
Hello, my name is Daniel Avalos, and I will be reading the parts of Patsy Ramirez.
Hello, my name is Alvina Jimenez.
And my name is Adam Pierce.
And today we are going to present our Affirming Diversity project, which is based on Cesar Chavez. Our project would be a thematic unit, which is when you create a lesson or lessons around a main idea or theme. You would then expand the lesson by adding various subjects such as language arts, social studies, history, or anything you feel you should add to this lesson. This will help students make connections to the main idea so students can explore more and ask themselves deeper questions regarding the topics that was introduced to them before and after this lesson. The lesson also requires students to engage in conversation and apply skills that they wouldn't normally do if not for this lesson.
Moving on to the second slide, the important parts of a thematic unit. So there are 8 main important elements that every thematic unit should have. The first one would be a topic. So just choosing a theme topic that has the students' interest and let them experience it, as well as following the Common Core principles. Second, it would be choosing a grade level to ensure that you choose the appropriate class. Third would be goals, determining the particular goals you want to achieve during the course of the unit. For materials, so any materials that you might need. 5 would be activities. These would be developed throughout your lesson, and they will ensure that you cover exercises across the syllabus and curriculum. 6 would be discussion questions that would help students reflect on the theme of the unit. 7 would be book selection. You know, it's always good to include reading, so you would ensure to add a book. And 8 would be assessment. As with every good lesson, you need to make sure to be able to properly assess students' learning.
Our thematic unit would be around Cesar Chavez. The reason why we decided to present Cesar Chavez is because we noticed that in our practicum that not a lot of students know who Cesar Chavez is and what he did. And when asked, we asked the students, it came as a surprise that not many of them knew who he was, despite going to the school named after him. So we decided that we should at least give the students an insight of who he was and what he did. By doing so, we get to expand on their social collaborable actions and give them a meaningful lesson and give the students a rich experience that would connect them with their own experience and their own cultural diversity, along with connecting to other cultures that are surrounding them. And by speaking to the students about influential speakers and the people who help our community will make a big difference. Information better retained could present to be a challenge to students to understand whenever they read a book or if we are giving lectures. However, these would have the freedom to explore their own cultures and do their own research and expand their findings, which would make the lesson more memorable for a long time after the lesson. While they do their own investigation, they are going to come across vocabulary words that they never heard of before and would adapt these vocabulary words to expand their own vocabulary words for a potential future assignment. The students also has the opportunity to do a timeline such as this, and students will create their own timeline of Cesar Chavez with the following link. With the following link. So they would do the beginning and then talk about Cesar Chavez at his early years, when he was born, and other topics. From the day he was born until the day he died. And this is an outline, so just to give us students the idea of what to be expected from the assignment, this assignment.
Okay, moving on to the reading, Cesar Chavez poetry book. So to incorporate reading into this thematic unit, during this reading lesson, students will reflect on the question written on it on the board. How did your parents decide to name you by your own name? This would take about 2 to 3 minutes. Next, students will read the poem called Cesario from the book Cesar, Si Se Puede, Yes We Can, by Carmen T. Bernier Grant, which I will show in the next slide. But continuing on, after students read the poem, they will turn and talk to their nearest partner to answer the question. Why do you think Cesario's name was often changed? And they would do this for about 2 minutes, a very close discussion. And lastly, they would demonstrate their learning by creating an anchor chart using their own name. They will get a sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper, and write their name in the middle. And in a format of a map or as a brainstorming way, they will connect reasons why their name is very important. That could be because they were named after a family member or because their name holds such power. Any reason that they want, but at least 5 reasons why their name is very important. And that is connecting back to why Cesar Chavez still holds his name and is very important. So moving on to the second slide. The poem that they would do it on would be this one, Poem Cesario, and it's by Carmen T. Bernier Grant. I'm not gonna go over it, but this is it. It's in bilingual, it's both English and Spanish.
Based on the reading we just did, which was the poem, the students would do a short writing assignment and create their own poem with the 3 words to keep them grounded. In the poem, the students are going to express themselves with their 3 words. This would give the teacher the chance to see where a student understands, where the understanding is, and judge whether or not they need to expand more or move on with their lesson. Students could also brainstorm with their group and appear about their poem to practice critical thinking, and if they need further help, they can revisit the poem on Cesar Chavez. The following slide is an example of what they would need to do, and it should have a title and the 3 grounded words that they chose at the beginning of this lesson.
Okay, so in order to connect Cesar Chavez to math within the schools, what we decided to go with was to try and figure out the difference in wages that he helped produce during his life and his advocacy for farming. So first, students would find out what the working wages were that were in place prior to Cesar Chavez's advocating for better wages and unions. Then the students would calculate that wage for the year. And then after they've found that wage for the year, they will then go to find the increase in wages and find out the percent of growth. Then students will find out the living wage for that year and compare the 2 years to each other to see the difference in growth and see how Cesar Chavez was able to help the overall increase in wages for farmers and people like that. Next slide. An example of this that could be used in the classroom. This is the entire problem, but you just break it down into a word problem. So essentially, the way I broke it down was we'll say there's 8-hour work weeks, 5 days a week. You multiply that by 0.4, which is 40 cents, and you get $16 a week. After that, you would find that there's about 260 work days, excluding weekends, in the year. And then you would multiply, you would turn the work days into weeks, which is about 37 weeks. And then you would multiply 37 times 16, which is how much they make per week. And then you would come up with $592 for the year. And this is all before Cesar Chavez started to advocate for better working or better prices and better wages and things like that. And this concludes our presentation.
Okay, we're clear.